details on the tickets or the show. This pair for you for next Thursday night down at Canton. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
As soon as I can learn how to run a computer, I am starting an online petition to have Alan Cox taken off the air. So help me God, I'm having him taken off the air.
Can you feel the love tonight?
The Alan Cox Show
On 100.7.
WMMS.
Pop was tough. Mom was tough, too. She made a cop cry once.
You know why I pulled you over?
I am not a mind reader, mister. I was speeding so I wouldn't be late. Now I'm not going to get there at all. Get back in that car and think about what you did.
Me and my brothers are in the back like, oh, don't shoot her. It just makes her mad. Those bullets better be silver or she ain't going down. I feel bad for my mother. All she really wanted was a normal family, and she didn't even come close.
I got 2 younger brothers, and we were little. Our favorite game was look at the vein in Mommy's head. We started aggravating her early in the morning. By the end of the day, that vein was throbbing. My father would come home, and she'd be like, just do something about your children.
All right, honey, just sit down before that pops. Get in here.
I'm going to tell you kids a story about family.
Your mother and I wanted 2 kids. We had 3 because I knew the day would come when I'd have to kill one of you.
There's Adam Ferrara. He was the one who lived. He was not killed by mom and dad.
Yes, and you know what?
The family's still intact, I assume.
Yes, I'm no longer touring with Zeppelin, but that was...
That was a throwback. We were having the conversation earlier about bands like... You'll hear Mary Santora in your headphones there.
Hello, Mary.
in
Hi,
New York.
Adam. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
We were having the conversation earlier, and you can probably assume on which side we all respectively fell about bands like Creedence and Thin Lizzy and how that's old man music.
It is.
Which it is.
Thank you.
But it doesn't make it any less amazing and awesome, and you know.
And you know what? Still being played.
Well, that's why I said. I go, there's a reason these songs are still around 50 years later.
O-Town's not touring.
The Fall Out Boy 40th anniversary tour.
I don't know where that is.
Decades from now.
Yeah. You can get your individual spice, but the girls have all left the rack. So,
Yeah. Adam Ferrara is doing the weekend at Hilarities. It's been a minute since we've seen him.
yeah, I was saying.
A lot has happened in that time, I
Mary
have to
left.
think.
She said, I'm going to be in the headphones.
Mary left.
Bye.
That's right. Adam, of course, is a comedian. He's an actor.
Yes.
He's a lapsed Catholic or current Catholic?
Recovering
Catholic. I always say lapsed, but I went home to Chicago over the weekend because Monday, this past, was the 2nd anniversary of my dad passing away. And so there's this memorial mass.
Right.
So I make the drive 7 a.m. with my whole family, my mom and my siblings. And it's fine, but it's like I'm in a foreign country when I sit in church now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with my brother. He goes, I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm like, it's for mom. It's not for us.
Right.
It's for our mom. But it is. It's like I'm being spoken to in a foreign language now.
Yeah.
It's very,
it's like when my family goes for midnight mass. You know, they kill a box of wine.
Right.
Around 11:45.
They pregame for midnight mass.
They walk in, and my aunt's like, "Is it all bench seating?" Who's that? You know,
Yeah.
he's looking up at the crucifix.
Yeah. The loge.
Yeah, everything's up there. But yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, your dad passed away too.
He
yeah?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
You
did.
and Mary and I are all in the Dead Dads Club.
Mary, you too?
Us repping hard, man.
Okay, let me tell you this. My father, I was with him for the whole ride.
Yeah.
So I said, Pop, I'll take care of everything. He's like, don't put me in the ground. There's worms down there. I'm like, I'm not going to throw you on the side of the highway like a dead witness. All
Right.
I will silicone the box and screw it shut. No one's going to get it. He goes, nah, I took care of everything. Alan takes me in the toolbox. Go in his garage. He opens up his toolbox. There's a little brochure in there.
Yeah.
He opens it up. He goes, you see that? I go, what the hell is that? He's like, it's a crypt. I go, what are you, a Romanian duke?
He's a vampire.
He bought a I'm not
Wow,
kidding.
good for him.
He bought this thing. He's showing me. He's so proud of it. He's like, look at that, huh? Family crest. I'm like, is that our family? He's like, nah, I picked it out of the book. But he's in this crypt. He's like, it's above ground, waterproof. He bought this thing. He goes, this is where your mother and I are going to rest in peace. I'm like, you don't get along in a 4-bedroom house.
Right.
You're going to spend eternity in this concrete bunker
I
with
mean,
Mom.
you might as well make it like a baller move because you're not going anywhere after that.
No, that's
Yeah.
it. But that's what he's got.
So what is the alleged Ferrara family crest? What did he pick out?
It looks like a caddy emblem, to be honest with you. It looks like the hood ornament from a Coupe de Ville. It's a Crip de Ville. That's what we have.
Was your dad driving Cadillacs?
Oh,
Was he
yeah.
okay,
That was
well,
the
there you
big
go.
sign. Italians from New York. That was the big thing. We had the plumbing truck, and he always had a caddy. It was always used.
Yep.
But he always had a
But he had it.
My mother always drove the caddy. So my first car was a 70 Coupe de Ville that my father turned into a
Beautiful.
plumbing truck.
Yeah.
Because my mother flipped a Benson and Hedges out the window. We didn't know it went back in. Like it went out and came back in.
Yep.
We wake up the next morning, there's smoke coming out of the car because it was in the back. It
Yeah.
was in the back. It looked like we elected a pope. There's just smoke.
Yeah.
And my father and I go out, put this thing out. We rip out the back seat, and he figures out we can get lengths of pipe from the trunk through the brace and lay them underneath the dashboard, and we can run pipe back and forth to the job. So that was the plumbing truck.
Wow, look at that.
I took my road test in that. When it was the plumbing truck, there was pipes and tools.
Yeah.
And my father's like, don't hit the brakes because the torch will come and hit you in the back of the head. They'll probably fail you for that.
Yeah. So they might not consider it roadworthy if you're out there, yeah.
It had this, I passed because I think the guy said, I am not getting back in this car. You
Yeah.
passed.
My father-in-law is one of those guys, too. He's not an Italian guy from Long Island. He's a Polish guy from Detroit. But, I mean, always drives used caddies.
Sure.
Right? Because he's like, no muss, no fuss, whatever. It's fine. But your dad was that guy, right? The fix-it kind of dude. Like my dad was that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there. When I was a kid, I so wanted to absorb that information. My siblings got kind of that grease monkey gene. I never got it. I'm kind of standing there. He's like, light. I'm like, I was, that
Your
kid.
job was to hold the light.
Yes.
My dad would be, all right, the first thing you want to do is this.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't say a word for 25 minutes. And he goes, all right, next. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You did so much.
Yeah, all your stuff. Can you
Leaving a
talk
lot
me
out.
through it?
Yeah.
I can just see your father trying to talk the flight attendant to landing the plane when the pilot passes out. All right, lift your. I bring it in. What? My dad could fix anything.
Yeah.
He just and the cars always worked, and I don't have it.
I don't either.
And when I was on Top Gear, I got to get any car I wanted.
Yeah.
So I got to pick out all these cars, and I remember once we fought over an '87 Grand National, the Buick Grand National GNX, and I'm driving the thing, and I think it's electronically limited for 127. I think I got up to like 120.
Right.
And I blew the head gasket, so smoke
Yeah.
was coming out. All I heard was my father's voice going, you see? Look at what you did. What I tell you about acceleration.
Right.
You just hear his voice over and over.
Was he gone by the time you did Top Gear?
Yeah.
Okay, because he would have loved
it.
Oh, my God.
He passed right before I got it. I was I was in negotiations to do it, and there was the audition process, so I was doing that.
Yeah.
And then he passed away, but he would have loved it.
Was he able to were you able to consult with him at all to make it sound like you knew more than you did? Or
They never really asked me. I mean, I could change the oil.
Yeah.
I can gap a spark plug.
Yeah.
I can smack the solenoid to get the starter to turn
Yeah.
over. After that, but I'm not pulling ahead. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But they never really. I didn't have to fix anything. Like,
They wanted you there for the face, not so much the automotive
This lens
acumen.
candy.
Yeah.
That's
right.
what you want. If Mary was here, God,
Yeah.
look at
Oh,
this.
it's a good thing I'm not.
Get a good look
thing.
at this.
Yeah. Yeah, Top Gear, that must have been, I mean,
fun.
Adam Ferrara, you've seen him. I mean, Rescue Me, I remember that. That was one of the,
Yeah.
Rescue Me was one of the first shows that I remember binging on DVD was Rescue Me.
Wow.
The Shield and Rescue Me, those were the two big ones on DVD.
The nice thing about that show is
But you're always in something. I always see you in something.
Oh, thank you. I just did NCIS. I just did this season finale.
Yep.
And it's nice when you show up because like a lot of the crew guys know the show. Top Gear.
Yeah.
So you'll hear people walking around, and the director will, like after like the second or third day of shooting, they're like, "What's Top Gear?" Because everyone starts talking about it.
Right, yeah.
Because all car guys are telling stories and asking questions, and
Sure.
showing pictures of your cars and stuff. It's a fun fraternity. So
Talking about Buick, by the way, every time I see a Buick commercial, I go, how are there still Buicks around? And then I read a thing that it was just a flip of a coin. Whatever these automotive company mergers were, they were looking at the brands. They had 3 or 4 they were going to get rid of. They go, we're going to stop making these. And Buick was just one they go, it's got some legacy. So they were like, we're going to stop making Saabs.
yeah.
And we're going to stop making Saturns or something. And Buick was the one that was left. So I'm like, wow.
When GM went bankrupt,
Yeah.
the reason Buick survived
But this must be what I was reading about.
is because they sell them in China.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Global market then. Okay.
Pontiac They got rid of Pontiac.
Pontiac.
Because Pontiac was supposed to be like the performance division of GM.
Okay.
So that's why, the Trans
That must have
Am.
been. I paraphrased it poorly, but that's what
Yeah.
I was reading about. Yeah.
But yeah, they're not flipping coins. They're looking at the spreadsheets going,
Right,
the
yeah.
Chinese like the Electra.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, but to that point, like, when I see these commercials, there's all kinds of cars that are sold everywhere but the
Yeah.
United States.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
still selling them here. Like, and I'm like, that's a good looking car. I mean, it would never occur to me, but,
We shot in Cuba. We did an episode in Cuba.
In Havana?
Yeah,
Where the
we-
cars are all still from the 50s? Is that still a
it's
thing?
American graffiti.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
fly down there. First of all, they fly us out of Florida. We fly, and the planes that are flying to Cuba, they're not new.
Right.
They're not new, and the rules are a little bit different. You're flying back, and there's people putting like all kinds of stuff in the overheads. It's like luggage, refrigerators, bicycles, relatives. Everything's just going up in there. We land in Havana. The pilot gets out, runs out, kisses the ground, and goes, "We made it again!"
Anyone you walk away from is good.
God. And we were like a boy band down there. Because here's what I didn't know is they load up American TV on thumb drives, and they bring them back, and they pass them around Cuba. So
really?
They knew the show.
Oh,
Yeah, but these embargoes aren't like a thing anymore down there, are they? I mean,
Well, this was we did it when Conan was just there before we were there.
Yeah,
so it was
okay.
opened up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we got down there, and they're all from because the embargo was what 61. I think?
Yeah, around. That's why all those cars from the 50s.
So all the 50s are there, and they're all Bondo, and they're always wiping them down because there's no because we drove those guys' cars.
Yeah.
And they said, look, there's no Pep Boys, there's no O'Reillys.
Right.
You break a fan belt, we got to use use your belt.
Yeah.
Your
We gotta figure something
shoelaces.
out,
Yeah.
So everything is Frankenstein together. So they got all these American cars, but they yanked the motors out and they put in these diesels. The Power Stroke diesels because they can get them.
Yeah.
So everything is. Then they got to make things. They took us to this guy. We went back into the woods. He's got this little shop, and if you need like a washer or a gasket, he's got rubber. He takes old tires with a machete, and that's where he gets the rubber. And he's got like a compressor from a refrigerator, and that's his wheel. He puts the rubber on the wheel. He takes a piece of glass and he eyeballs it and he cuts it.
Wow.
While you sit there, he's making us
And
rubber
gets it
washers.
right, yeah.
And
Yeah.
gets it right.
Right. Gets a lot of
Yeah,
practice.
Yeah. But it's not like I had a 55 Ford Fairlane. That was the car I drove.
Oof.
The seat was like, I don't care how tall you are, the seat don't move.
Right.
That's it.
The seat's the seat.
Seat's the seat. It's
Yeah.
welded there.
Yeah.
And you shift because it's a Power Stroke. Take your foot off the gas, punch it again, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful because that's the livelihood. Taxi drivers make more money than doctors now.
Sure.
The most coveted car, and Rutt drove it, was a station wagon because you can make more because they charge you per person driving people around.
Fit more people in
Fit
there.
more people.
Yeah.
Make more money for the run.
On the subject of kind of circling back briefly, when something common thread that you and Mary have is trying to, because I assume that you did, is trying to make the death of a parent funny.
Yeah.
Which, in the initial stages of it, Mary would tell here on the show would talk about how the difficulty I don't want to speak for her, but the difficulty she was having in taking that and going, I know I can make this funny. But it's that old tragedy plus time thing. And then you've got to figure out, well, how much time? I mean, I assume the audience is telling you, but that had to have been an element of your act.
I started to talk about it too early.
Is that what it was?
You too, man. How early did you do it?
Next
Mary,
day.
It wasn't.
Oh, really?
It might have been
Mine was
a week.
like a month. I waited like a month before I talked about it. And then even for like a month or two after that, I was still crying when I got off stage.
Well, what happened to me was I can make sense. My wife always says, when they ask her, what's Adam thinking? I don't know what he's thinking until I see his act. So because that's
Right.
how
That's what he's really thinking.
That's
yeah.
when I can process.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get to the stage quick because I wanted to heal.
Yeah.
And that's my safe place. So I wanted, if I could get to that place where it was funny, I think I would be all right. I think
It's a good place to process things.
Yeah. So, but it was way too early. Way too early. It wasn't funny, and I couldn't find a funny way in until I wrote a joke about my dad being a ghost. I'm like, that worked.
Yeah, got it.
Hamlet was visited by the ghost of his father.
Right.
We still talk to Alan's dad from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the because
Magic of technology.
Magic
Oh,
of
okay.
technology, yeah.
This is your father speaking from the Alexa.
My dad occasionally will come through, like a voice in the night. And it's uncanny how AI works these days. Yeah, but once you found the way in, like you said, you were like, oh, now I'm off and running.
Yeah, but it's still like but then it got me like I remember I was in a rent-a-car somewhere, and for some reason I don't know, it just got me that my dad was, and It was sadness, but it was a lot of anger, and I punched out the dome light in a rented car.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
I just bang! I was just punching the headliner, and all of a sudden I hit the dome light. I'm like, well,
Place to do that is a rental car, though.
Yeah, I
Expecting
took
that
the
thing to come
insurance.
back.
Pay the
I don't know how
$50
this is
and
gonna go.
you're good to go. Is mom still around?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mother's still around. Oh, I had a okay, so I'm in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Rent a car. I got to go drive out to this gig. So I rent a car. I'm going out the tunnel, and you know the merge. You got it's
Mm-hmm.
the zipper. I go, you go, I go, you go. Right. So there's a guy in an S-Class Mercedes, and it's the windows are all smoked out, and he's inching. I'm like, hey, we know the social contract. I let the Volvo in. Now you're not going to get Mr.
Right.
Mr. He's doing it, and I know I know he can hear me because the skylight's open and the vape smoke is coming out.
Right, yeah.
So it's getting to the point and I'm not backing off. I'm going taking my turn. I'm not backing off. All of a sudden, it comes to the point of no return, and I just roll down the passenger window and I yelled out, "This is a rent-a-car with full insurance for $24.99. I'm gonna ruin your whole day." You let me in.
Yeah, he let you in.
Yeah.
I like the guys who you see on the side rear view flying up to get in at the last minute.
Yeah.
They're not going to wait.
No.
They're going to fly up last minute and then
they'll be
scooch
like,
in.
"Oh, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know what was going on."
Yeah.
I did.
At least that's my move.
I did 100. That's your move. I did 173 miles an hour in a Lamborghini Huracan on the Autobahn.
Wow.
The Autobahn, it's a regular highway.
Yeah.
It's like it's a 2-lane road.
And in that car, you probably feel like you're going 45 miles per hour. Yeah.
The car's made to do that.
Right. It's
but-
not shaking or
But
anything.
you're screaming, and I mean, I realized that there's some guy in like a Volkswagen Golf just going to work. He leans over to change a radio station. It's all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this yellow, just flying right past.
What was the first car you ever really opened up? Like out in the salt flats or whatever, you're doing 150.
Lamborghini Superleggera.
Did it freak you out to go that fast? Yeah, I would think it would.
If you look on YouTube, because you go 90, I think you
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, I did 180, and you just put your foot in it and you hold on, and it was paddle shifter, so I was shifting with the paddles, and every time I would shift, the shock load throw me back, and I used the F word, I went F.
Yeah,
you can see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm just screaming, and around 140 miles an hour.
You in pads and stuff and a
What
helmet?
pads?
I don't know. I don't know how it was shot or what
It was
you guys.
basic cable. We didn't have money for lunch. No, just a regular seatbelt.
If Adam dies, that's an extra sandwich over at
Yeah,
Craft
yeah,
Services
yeah.
for somebody. Yeah.
So, but around 140 miles an hour, car starts getting light.
Yeah.
You can feel it, even a Lamborghini. That's why they're so low, those supercars. But you can feel them coming up, and you just. I did 188 in an F12 Berlinetta, a Ferrari. Wow. So in around 100, I remember that vividly because around 188, and Alan, you're just not flying. It's not the straight speed. You're talking to the camera. So
Yeah,
you're
right.
doing
Sure.
stuff. So around 188, I sensed a speed wobble. For those of you who don't know what a speed wobble is, you got your hand on the wheel, and all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, what's that?" Dead.
Yep.
That's what that is at
Yeah.
188. So I lifted at 188. It's a 211 mile an hour car. And as soon as I took my foot off the gas, the Ferrari just said, "Take him away. He bores me."
It's like Back to the Future. You went back to 1955 in that car.
I'll tell you this: I got my drag racing license because we did an episode where I was at the Great Lakes Dragway.
Yeah.
So you got to get your license, and it's all trans brakes, which means there's no throttle. You just rev up the motor. You take your foot, you take your hand off the trans brake, which is like this big button.
Yeah.
And it just releases all the power, and you just fly, and the edges get like the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It looks like the edges of hyperspeed. That's what. So we did that, right? So I got to do that, and you're strapped in, you're in a harness, and you feel it throwing you back in the seat. I got more motion sickness in a Mach-E, the electric Mustang, the GT Performance.
Yeah.
When I drove that on the street, and when I punched that threw me back in the seat, and I got motion sickness in that. A professional dragster, I was fine.
You're fine, yeah.
What does your wife drive?
My wife has, we have an 08 E350. We got an old Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
She likes. I also have a 1990 LS400. The first year Lexus came out.
Nice.
With that. And I bought the piano car from, if you did watch the show Top Gear, it was an old Buick. It was a Buick. Electra, 1970 Deuce and a Quarter.
You have like you got a big storage spot? You like Seinfeld Jr. or anything like that?
No, I don't have the budget.
Well, I don't.
Are you kidding? I have the space and
You're
the budget.
doing well. You're a big star. What are you talking about? Come on. You're doing hilarities all week.
I am. Come down and see me.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come down for Father's Day. So I bought the old Buick, right? It's 18 feet 5 inches.
Yeah.
I got three. Yeah, I got 3 garages at my house, and it doesn't fit in any of them. So
Right.
it's outside with a cover. But that's how the Electra got its name, the 225, because it's 225 inches.
Nice.
I painted it black cherry metallic. I dropped the suspension. I smoked out the windows. And I drive around Santa Monica, and I play Parliament Funkadelic and scare white people.
It's easy to do these days, especially with Bootsy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's good
Harold,
stuff.
there's that car. We have to sell the house.
Adam Ferrara is doing Hilarities this weekend. You can go to hilarities.com. You can go to adamferrara.com.
Yes, bring your father down Father's Day Sunday.
Where are we? What are we going to see you in next? Because you're always in
I'm
something.
in the season finale of NCIS. I think they're rerunning.
Is that the Mark Harmon thing?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Mark Harmon. And that's what I say. They brought my character back. I played this guy on that show called Sloppy Joe Sammy.
I like it.
I'm a bookie in a food truck.
Yeah, Sloppy Joe.
So, that's coming up. I got a new special that I will be filming in a few months, so I'll let you know when that comes out.
Please do.
Come back and play.
Yeah, please do. It's great to see you.
Good, always good to see you, my
Thank you,
friend.
pal.
Check out my podcast, the Adam Ferrara Podcast. 30 minutes, you'll never get back.
Anywhere podcasts are served up, probably.
Wherever you get your podcasts.